Today we are starting on a new topic. So this particular topic, right, we are going to look into transport systems in living things once again. So we have actually talked about this in primary school, right now. You did transport system in P5. So when you were talking about the transport system in plants, you were talking about also just the water carrying tubes and then the food carrying tubes. Do you know right now? Okay, sure. Yeah, I can see Jing Xuan's right now. Only came in just a while ago. And Anish also, both the video not working. Okay. Jing Xuan, you try to turn on the camera later, okay? When you're done. Right. Right. Okay, sure. Thank you so much. Okay, Harvard is in. Where was I? Okay, do you still recall you learned the water carrying tube and the food carrying tubes? In the at this level now, right? At your level now in Sec 2, you no longer call them the water carrying tubes and the food carrying tubes. What do you call them? Do you remember? Do you have any idea? Yes or no? If you have no idea, it's still fine. Maybe you have not started on this chapter. Louis, you're right. That is correct. It's one of the tubes that you actually name. Okay, you said xylem, right? Xylem is correct. But do you know which part is actually, or which tube is actually the xylem? You try. Try and see whether you can get it right. So we have xylem. We have another one. Any idea? Anybody? Anybody doing this chapter 15 at the moment? If you are doing chapter 15 now, then you probably will know lah. But not, then it depends on whether your primary school teacher actually said it before. Okay. Xylem is actually the water carrying tube, Chloe. Yeah, it's water, that's right. So for food carrying tube, there's another name you have to know. It starts with a P, but it is pronounced as the phloem. Recall that? Phloem. Okay, so that's the phloem. Then you have xylem for the water carrying tube. Food carrying tube is the phloem. Now, we will talk about it later. Today, in fact, I want to focus diffusion and osmosis. Do you still recall we did talk about diffusion, osmosis, or sorry, not osmosis. We talked about diffusion 2 lessons ago, where you see the whisking tubing, then the iodine turning into this blue-black coloration. If you can recall that, that was diffusion that we were talking about. Okay. Let's see. More of you are in now. Very good. Okay, I'll mark the attendance later. Hi, Yu Yuan. You're here. Now, let's see. I saw this person just now, but then now he's not in the room. Is Kate not here yet? Jimin is here. Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah. Hi, Wesley. So I got tests on chapter 11 and 13 on Friday. This Friday, pay it. Wow. Okay, Ken. I think it's the WA with the assessment. Yuyan, you are doing electricity. What is chapter 11? Chapter 11 is chemical changes. Yeah. Okay, it's practice, is it? Oh, that means your teacher is giving you a time practice. Sure. Okay, no problem. Chapter 13 is electrical system. That's right. Shouldn't be too difficult. Yeah, shouldn't be too difficult. Those of you who are here, please remember to turn on your video. Okay, Hein is here, right? Now, for this particular topic, okay, like I said, just a while ago, focus more on the diffusion and the osmosis part. So before we start, let's take a look at what MOE wants you to know. At this level in Sec 2, when you are doing chapter 15, okay, transport systems in living things, you are actually learning about the primary roles and function of the transport system in both the plants and human being. Okay, how different parts actually work together to perform its function. And you have to also know, okay, when one part has malfunction, how is it going to affect the transport system? Okay, core ideas for this particular chapter, right? Describe the function of blood vessel in relation to the transport system in humans. So now you have new terms that you need to be familiar with, arteries and veins. When you were in primary school, the teacher only wanted you to learn heart and then the blood vessel, correct or not? So blood flowing in the blood vessel. Now you need to know what's the meaning of arteries, what's the meaning of veins. Of course, some of you probably heard about this in primary school. Okay, so that's good. Anyway, you're not required to know a lot of the specific details. You don't need to learn about the names of the different arteries or the different veins. Okay, so you just learn the general parts only. So structure of the blood vessels and the heart not required also. The heart has got 4 chambers. If you don't know, okay, now you know. So they talk about the ventricles as well. Okay, so there's the left atrium, left ventricle, right atrium, right ventricle, but don't need to know at your level. Unless, again, your teacher wants you to know it at this level. Okay, by right, no need. So show understanding that xylem transports water and mineral salts. Okay, where will it transport from and to? So it's from the roots to other parts of the plant. Phloem actually transport food from the leaves to other parts of the plant. Explain the need for transport system in multicellular organism. Okay, and then today we are going to focus a bit more on how diffusion facilitates the transport of substances. But first, you need to be familiarized what's the meaning of diffusion, what's the meaning of osmosis. Okay, then with that understanding, it'll be easier for you to apply to the plants as well as to human beings. All right, so explain how diffusion facilitates the transport of substances in plants. So that's what I was talking about. And you need to know osmosis facilitates the absorption of water at the roots. Not just osmosis, there's also another one known as active transport. Though it's not written over here, okay? It is actually asked in our worksheet, all right? And then I have seen in other schools' exam papers before, okay? How minerals actually enter the roots from the soil. Okay, so infer from investigation that xylem transports water and mineral salts. Yeah, so this is more like some hands-on that you need to carry out. So we actually did this before in primary school. Do you all know that? Okay, what is that particular experiment that you have tried out in primary school? Okay, Jimin, you better message me as well. Huh? Yes, very good. Remember, you put some cabbage leaves in colored water. You put the celery as well, the different stalks of the celery, right? Yeah. Into colored water. You even cut the celery into 2 parts at the bottom, then immerse each part in blue colored water and red colored water respectively. Yeah, so you did try out something like that. Yes, Yuyan, I will ignore the other one. Okay, so you all did this. Also, probably your teachers perhaps bought some white colored flowers. Then you are supposed to change the flower into different colors as well by immersing the stalk into the different colored solution. So those are the things that you have done before. You might even do it again in Sec 2, depending on your teacher also. Okay, so that is actually a proof that the xylem is the water carrying tubes. It actually transport water and mineral salts, okay, from the roots all the way upwards to the leaves as well as the flower. Okay, so let's continue now. Now, transport of substances into and out of cells. One thing you possibly recall as well, you learned in Sec 1, in chapter 6, model of cells, the basic unit of life. So in that particular chapter in Sec 1, you did also talk about transportation of substances into and out of cells, right? So not everything can enter the cells, not everything can come out of the cell. How does that actually get prevented? So you have to think about it. Okay, every cell, right, need to exchange substances, correct? Like, for example, our body cell, we take in digested food and oxygen, then we remove carbon dioxide and urea. So all substances that enter or leave a cell will have to pass through this very important words here, partially permeable cell membrane. I introduced this term to you earlier. We talked about partially permeable before, okay, 2 lessons ago. So other than partially permeable, there are other terms they use also. Do you still remember? What are the other terms instead of partially permeable that I have introduced to you? That I did say, you might see these terms for the cell membrane, okay, for other membranes as well, that has the same function. Meaning sometimes they allow certain substances to pass through, other times they don't allow other substances to pass through. Hi, Harvard, I can see you now. Okay, are you good? I read the article, it was so interesting. I hope they can really prove that, you know, our appendix really help us by, you know, producing some of the useful bacteria. Okay, now back to this. What are the other terms? If you recall, do you remember I said if I am, I only allow some people to be my friends. I am very selective with friends, right? So in this case, the cell membrane is not allowing some substances to pass through, only allow others that are small enough. So it's also selective with things that can pass through. So we can call this selectively permeable membrane as well. So selectively is another word. Okay. Then, okay, I can't write the other side. So let me erase a little. There's one last one that we can use that is, or you will see, that is called semi-permeable. So there are 3 different words or 3 different terms for us to represent the cell membrane, to describe the cell membrane: partially permeable, selectively permeable, semi-permeable. Okay, so all these is just telling us that the cell membrane will only allow some substances to pass through. So you can see over here, small molecules, right? Okay, can pass through the membrane because the membrane has got some holes, some pores. Okay, don't say hole, hole sounds very big. So it should be the pores over here. Okay, so you can see the pores. Only the small substances can pass through. The bigger ones, they are stuck outside. Okay, so large molecules cannot enter, cannot leave the cell also. So in this case, they call it partially permeable cell membrane. Okay, so this is a membrane that has small pores, only allow small molecules to pass through them. Okay, so they say some molecules, obviously it will be the smaller ones. Just like food, if our food is not being digested, okay, at the small intestine, okay, the food needs to be absorbed into the bloodstream, right? So if the membrane there is not allowing the big particles to pass through, all the nutrients that we are eating, right, which are not being digested, not broken down into soluble, smaller substances, will never get into our bloodstream, and it will just pass out of our body through the anus eventually. Okay, so that's why digestion is very important. You are digesting those large food particles or molecules into smaller soluble ones. Then these digested substances like the amino acid, like the glucose, like the, what else do we have? Fatty acid and glycerol, they can pass through the membrane, get into the bloodstream, and all these nutrients will be passed around the body. So far, so good. Still remember all these terms, it's important. Now, so what is diffusion and osmosis? Let's start with diffusion first, okay? Substances move in and out of the cell, right? Mainly by 2 methods, diffusion and osmosis. So what is diffusion? The definition is here. It is the net movement of molecules